Hey guys, what's up and welcome to Love Inspiry Space on the internet. In today's video, we are going to be talking about 6 things you should know about marriage. Now, if you're engaged, preparing for marriage, or in the early stages of marriage, you want to stick around and watch this video. Let's talk love. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Love Inspiry's YouTube channel. I'm your girl Angie Rolle, the founder of Love Inspiry, where our mission is to build more powerful, transparent, and durable relationships. I have been married over 15 years now, and I have learned a thing or two about marriage. Yeah. So the first thing that I want to talk about in the 6 things you should know about marriage is, number 1, it will only work if you do. Listen, you have to put in the work to get something out of it. That's just with anything, right? You go to work to get money. You go to school to graduate and get that degree. You're putting in work to get something out. And the same thing applies with marriage. You have to be willing to put in that work to get something out of your marriage. Meaning, when you say I do, when you walk down the aisle, when the honeymoon is over, when you're 5 years deep in, that means you still have to be putting in the work every single day to learn each other and to grow together. And I have a video coming out next week on the 3 ways to grow together, so we'll talk about that at another date. But you have to put some work in to get something out of it. Now, I know there's a rumor out there that it will get better with time, right? But the only way it will get better with time, your issues and your problems will get better with time, is if you don't ignore the problem when it starts. When you ignore problems, that's when it just builds and it builds and it builds, and you run into this wall of now you really just don't know how to fix it. So don't ignore your problems. That was a little bonus on to number 1. Remember that it will only work if you do. I want you to understand that everybody's experience in marriage is different. Now, I know you guys may have heard me say before, when you are getting married or when you're in your first stages of marriage, to model after somebody else's marriage that you admire. Now, you're not gonna copy, because you can't copy the relationship like carbon copy. Like, it's not gonna be directly the same, because everybody's experience is different. Your struggles are not gonna look like mine. My struggles are not gonna look like yours. So you want to model behaviors, like how they treat each other, how they love each other. All of those things are the type of things that you want to model. Maybe you can learn something about how they work together with finances. Those are things that I mean when I say find you a couple that you admire to model after. But also remember that everybody's situation is different. Not saying that you can't go to somebody and ask them for advice, but always take people's advice with a grain of salt, unless they are specifically have been through that specific situation. Always take it with a grain of salt, because what your troubles look like, again, like I said, mine aren't going to look like. And so that's why it's important that you take advice, you get utilize the resources from people that have experienced this. Number 3, you will have trials and tribulations. And listen, I love the fact that my husband and I have had trials and tribulations. I have a video out somewhere regarding that, but I am so happy that we have went through the challenges and experiences that we went through, because it only made our relationship stronger. It only made us come closer together as a unit. And that's one thing that I love about our relationships. I often say, if you don't have a trial or two, if you've never experienced anything, or if you've never been through anything, how do you know your relationship can withstand the test of time? So your marriage will have trials and tribulations. Now, again, it's not going to look like somebody else's, but they will be there. And to my people dating, here's a little tip for you. If you're waiting for the right time, if you're waiting for your money to get right, if you're waiting to purchase that car or that house, whatever the case may be, there's never going to be a right time, because you are always going to have a task or something to tackle in your marriage. So if you know that you found the right person, go do what you need to do. If you know you found the right person and you've built the proper foundation, then just take that step down the aisle, because something is always going to come up. 15 years in and everything comes up still to this day. But the only difference is we know how to effectively work through it. Number 4, boundaries are necessary in marriage. Listen, now some people think that only single people need to set expectations and boundaries. No, it still is a requirement for a healthy marriage. I was listening to Steve Harvey one day, and he was saying how you need to write down down what it is that you want, what it is that you desire. And so last night I decided to write down 3 things that I truly want in life. I'm not going to share them on here, but I did go back and share them with my husband so he knows what I am striving for, so he knows how he can help me, so he knows what to do around me or what not to do, what to say, what to bring home and surprise me.
Wink to the husband.
This is very, very important to have boundaries. And what I mean by boundaries is having time for personal development, having times to make sure you know who you are. Now, this does not require hiding your phones or hiding anything from your significant other, but simply about making sure that you are taking the time to personally develop in your relationship personally so you can be the best version of yourself in the relationship as well. Number 5, and this has to be my favorite one because I've experienced it myself. How you start is not how you finish. Now, this is mostly for couples that are in the beginning stages of their marriage and they are hitting a rough patch. Maybe you're engaged and you don't really know if you want to get married or not. How you start is not always how you finish. Now, my husband and I, we started out financially great, and then we fell into this, maybe about 2 years into the marriage, we fell into a financial rut. And it took us a few years to get out of that rut, but we're in a much better place right now. So when you are starting out and you're hitting this rough patch, make sure, my number one tip is to make sure that you attack the problem and not the person, because when you attack the person, it's going to go escalate into something more than what it needs to be. You have to focus on the problem and the problem at hand. If the problem is finances, all right, how can we better our finances? How can we budget? Don't throw stones about who is better at this or what you should have done, because what is what is. You can't do nothing with it. So that's just a little encouragement for you to understand that because you are hitting a rough patch right now does not mean that you will finish with the rough patch. And that leads me into the last one, number 6, your differences don't mean uncertainty. When you're in a marriage, you will differ. Your opinions will differ. Your ideas for how you want to handle situations will differ. Your personalities will differ. I'm sure you know that by now. But that does not mean uncertainty. That means taking what differs about you, finding the strengths and weaknesses in each other, and building that teamwork within. One thing that I love about my own personal marriage is the fact that we work together.
That's my pleasure.
Wherever one person is weak, the other person picks up that weakness and makes it strength for the relationship as a whole. We all fall short, we all have a weakness, but when you're in a marriage, you have to know how to utilize each other's strengths. Just because you differ, and even if you differ on bigger things, does not mean that the relationship is uncertain or shouldn't place doubt in your relationship. Your differences is what's going to make your relationship prosper. Oh, guys, and I have a bonus for you, a real good bonus for you. And if you are an avid follower of mine, you know what I'm about to say. Accountability. When you take accountability in your marriage, it will change the game. Again, that means you're focusing on what you can do differently as opposed to what your partner is not doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. It was the 6 things you should know about marriage. Whether you are dating, looking to get married, whether you are engaged, about to get married, or whether you are in the early stages of marriage or the later stages and just hitting a rough patch, you can get through it, but you have to put in the work to do that. And I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at www.loveinspiry.com, and I will be more than happy to assist you as we inspire the world by love. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Wait, it's 78 degrees in here. Back up a little bit. I've learned a thing or two, and I've learned a thing or two in my own marriage. And my husband, I don't like that. I forgot my wedding ring. That's weird. I'm not gonna talk with my hands anymore. And listen, I have a video out. He was saying how number 6, and that leads me into